This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's newsletter, Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter for April 1, 2025. This volume 29, issue number 7, is issued on April Fool's Day, but there's no fooling in this issue of ZIFL. Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter is the source for the insurance fraud professional, and you can subscribe. It's free, and there's a link allowing you to do so. ZIFL continues its 29th year of publication dedicated to those involved in reducing the effect of insurance fraud. ZIFL is published 24 times a year by Claim School and is written by me. It is provided free to anyone who visits the site at the link, and you can read the full issue at the link provided. This issue contains some of the following articles about insurance fraud. First, an article about lawyers who were sanctioned for tricking a witness with a false document. The United States District Court for the District of Texas, in a case entitled Cognipower LLC versus Samsung Electronics Limited, a report was filed by David Folsom, Special Master, on a motion for sanctions filed by the defendant Samsung. One of the bases of the decision reached by Mr. Folsom was the requirement that lawyers are expected to deal fairly and in good faith with their adversaries and act honorably in all their actions. You can read the full article and the full 20-page issue of ZIFL at the link provided for the April 1, 2025 issue. Next is an article about a person who was found guilty of forgery and is sentenced to 8 years in prison to establish non-existent counseling was affirmed in the People of the State of Illinois versus Robert A. Moylan, who was found guilty of 7 counts of forgery for signing and delivering false documents, stating that his clients had successfully completed court-ordered counseling services. Moylan was sentenced to an aggregate term of 8 years imprisonment, appealed, claiming several errors by the court, including the denial of his motion to suppress eavesdrop recordings and evidence seized from his offices, and the denial of his request for a public defender at sentencing. You can read the full article and the full 20-page issue of ZIFL at the link provided. Next is an article about a stage accident, which is one where a claimed collision was intentional, and the evidence needed to use a staged accident claim as a defense. In State Farm Fire and Casualty Company versus Felix A. Quinones, the New York court on March 7, 2025, dealt with State Farm's request to disclaim coverage for medical treatment provided to the defendants who were involved in an automobile collision on February 26, 2020. The court granted the plaintiff's motion for summary judgment in part, declaring that State Farm had no obligation to pay claims submitted by Grand Medical Supply Corp. Due to Quinones' failure to appear for examination under oath. However, the court denied the plaintiff's motion for summary judgment on the basis that the collision was staged, citing insufficient evidence, meaning that State Farm at trial will have to provide better evidence about the staged accident. Next is our list of health insurance fraud convictions, with a dozen or 2 or 3 listings of convictions from the Department of Justice and State Departments of Justice. One of these health insurance fraud convictions dealt with $5 million in false claims that were settled with the United States for adults with developmental disabilities. Community Options, Inc., a New York affiliate, admit billing Medicaid for services without accurate and adequate supporting documentation and failing to report return of overpayments to Medicaid. The full article is available at the link provided, as are the dozen more convictions and settlements. Then there is more on McClenny, Mosley and Associates, this being ZIFL's 44th installment of the saga of McClenny, Mosley and Associates and its problems with the federal courts in the state of Louisiana, and what appears to be an effort to profit from what some magistrate and district judges indicate may be criminal conduct to profit from insurance claims relating to hurricane damage to the public of the state of Louisiana. The proposed settlement agreement in the MMA bankruptcy has raised several red flags, which all legal professionals should take serious notice. On March 19, 2025, the proposed settlement was submitted about complaints of disproportionate fee allocations to the creditors of MMA. You can read the full article and the full list and the full ZIFL at the link provided. Next is an article about convictions for other than health insurance fraud, starting with an article about a Miami insurance broker who was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison in a condominium premium finance scheme. Leonel Gonzalez, also known as Leo, a Miami insurance broker, was sentenced to 41 months in prison by a federal judge and more than $5 million in restitution for defrauding a Georgia credit union by obtaining loans for condominium associations, premium financing, and then using the loans for his own personal gain. You can read the article and the full issue of ZIFL at the location provided, as well as a little bit about me. This video was adapted from my blog, Zalma on Insurance, which is available free to anyone who clicks on the URL zalma.com/blog. You can subscribe to the blog and you'll be given notice of every blog posting, including postings about Zalma's insurance fraud letter by email. You can also subscribe to these videos on rumble.com and youtube.com, and if you do, I'd appreciate it if you click on the thumbs up button on rumble.com or the like button on YouTube. And if you're interested in further information about insurance, insurance claims, insurance law, and insurance fraud, please consider, for a very small fee, subscribing to my Substack publications. And please tell your friends and colleagues about this blog and this newsletter so that they too can subscribe. They're all free. Thank you for your attention.